Hello everyone and welcome to today's webinar. This is our second one of 2024 and today we're going to be taking a look at Yealink's portfolio as a whole in the post-ISDN era. My name is Anna Maria and I am the Sales Director at ProView Communications, and I will be taking questions throughout the webinar as well as at the end, so if you do have any questions, feel free to just type it into the question box. I will stop as we go along, and then we'll also have time for a Q&A session at the end. The agenda for today is to have a bit of an introduction as to why we think it's important to review your offering at this stage, a bit of detail as to why you may want to work with ProView on Yealink for those who don't know us. We've then got the portfolio as a whole and what scenarios the various products are going to work in, followed by the questions and answers. So do stick around to the end. Usually the questions that come through can sometimes be quite interesting, so you might learn something new. Right, the challenge. So this is arguably the most talked about topic at the moment, which is the ISDN switch off. Now, don't worry, we're not into scaremongering here, and I know there has been a bit of that going on in the industry, especially at the beginning, but we are getting closer to 2025, and we are still a little while off where we need to be. So stats-wise, we've got 665 days until the ISDN switch off is complete. There are currently still 14 million homes still using PSDN or ISDN lines, and 33% of businesses are still using ISDN or PSDN. So that really is massive numbers, and we've still got quite a lot of work to do to get everyone prepared and moved over. Now, one thing I found most when talking to customers is whilst everyone is aware of what is happening, it's not everyone is fully aware of what needs to be done to get prepared. And it's not just the case of switching phone systems and moving away from analog. You know, there are various requirements and regulations put in place to make it work. So, for example, did you know that Ofcom have released a regulation to say that vulnerable people require a battery backup for a minimum of an hour in case there is a power cut? And if so, do you know what you can do to get to support that? Now, we're fully aware of this. This is actually a product that we've since added to our portfolio. So we've got a range of UPS devices at various levels to give you that backup, including a mini one that's perfect for residentials as it's small and it doesn't take up a lot of space, but it still fits in with the regulations, giving a minimum of an hour. In terms of products and devices, Yealink have something for everyone here, be it for on-site office workers, home office workers, hybrid, for various sites like retail shops, factories, any type of site, there should be something designed to suit. And one thing to remember is we really do have your back. We are always keeping up to date with the latest news. We work really closely with our vendors to figure out solutions for every situation. We can provide you with the right devices, so you know, ATA for where analog phones need to be kept, even gateways for lifts to allow everything to speak to the same system. Anything that comes up that you're not sure about, or if you've got a complex inquiry or some kind of quirky scenario, just give us a call and we will work with our engineers to find the right solution for you. So why Yealink and ProView? So for those who are new to us today, we are a specialist IP comms data and security distributor, and we're based in sunny Huddersfield in the north of England. I say that sarcastically, and we specialise in supplying ITSPs, ISPs and resellers of hosted services. So it's our wraparound that we deliver, our flexibility and ability to provide bespoke services to suit that allows us to sell to the majority of the ITSPs in the industry, and we're now taking on a really good chunk of the MSPs as well. We've got over 20 years experience in doing just this, so we are specialists and therefore we're really knowledgeable. And we don't do, one thing to remember is we don't do any competing services, so you won't be able to come to us to buy SIP trunks or anything like that. And more importantly, we are just here to help and guide you. Here we all are. We've got a great team here. Most of us have been here for over 10 years. We're dedicated, we're loyal, technical by nature, and everyone here that you're speaking to, we all love what we do. These are the main vendors that we work with. So as you can see, we've got our main IP handset vendors. We then also do IP door entry and access control, IP audio and IP paging, networking equipment, so switches and routers, all of which we can pre-configure and can be managed by our remote management portal. We've then got things around it like headsets, soft phone app, gateways, SBCs, UPS devices, and most recently, we're now partnered with Fidelity Energy. ProView has been distributing Yealink for around 14 years, and we work really closely with the team in China to bring the latest devices to the UK market. Being as technical as we are, we provide them with detailed feedback. So any beta stage testing that they do, we tend to get involved, give them feedback and help make them better before they bring it to market. The services that we provide are also regularly worked on. So our provisioning server that we've built in-house, it's regularly updated to support the latest phones. Any firmware releases that they bring in, we do all of that testing before sending those phones out. I've just seen a question come through and I've been asked about the name of our office dog, and I'm really sorry, I should have actually said something, but that's Bruno that we've got there. So he does come in every now and then. We've actually got a few members of staff that bring their dogs in from time to time. So yeah, it's always a fun day in the ProView office. Right, moving on. Yealink are considered to be an industry expert and they have become #1. So in 2005, they took on #1 share of the USB phone market. In 2015 is when they began their partnership with Microsoft, which is what aided their range of Teams devices and Teams conferencing devices, which I will show you very briefly on 1 or 2 slides later. In 2018, they're still #1 in the SIP phone market and best for customer satisfaction, and the same again in 2021. They've got over 20 years experience in audio communication technology with over 8 years experience on wireless technology, including DECT and Bluetooth. Now, DECT has existed in their portfolio a long time ago in the form of a very simple base station and a cordless handset. And we worked really closely with Yealink to help them develop their multi-cell DECT range. So, they've since put a lot of investment into their headset game. So they've always had standard wired. They brought in their USB headsets during the pandemic, but prior to launching their DECT headsets, they did so much research into looking at all the popular headset vendors out there, testing their products to understand what it is that customers need. They then found a way to develop similar products, but at a more cost-effective price point, which is why we've seen so many customers switch to Yealink as their main headset brand and giving us a lot of positive feedback along the way. Within that, they've got over 600 patented technologies and over 50% of their staff are engineers that are all getting involved on the technical side and this R&D work with their main goal of always trying to create the best customer experience. Right, going into the products here, we will have a look at the IP handset range as a whole. I'll take you through the 3 ranges just to give you a little bit more detail on where they sit. So here is the full range at a glance. At the top, we've got their higher end T5 series of phones, which include built-in Bluetooth and Wi-Fi, touchscreens, video, cordless receivers, kind of got all sorts. So this is all your bells and whistles type range. We've then got the T4 series, which is their mid-range, although I still think they're pretty good phones. It's just in a different style with slightly differently built features. And then the T3 series is their entry-level range. And these are great for any site that's on a budget. We actually see a lot of those go into places like schools. They've got conferencing devices designed to work for small, medium, and large rooms, including one that even works over DECT. So it can speak to a base station if you've already got that set up. On the DECT side, the cordless side, we've got a range of handsets to suit every need. So there's mid-range, high-end, for offices, and then we've got 2 ruggedized models, which is great for warehouses, factories, restaurants, care homes, that sort of thing. And then within the base stations, we've got a standard single cell and 2 multi-cell options. Here is an example of how you might use Yealink for your entire solution. So you've got the wide range of desk phones to suit each type of user, be that the MD who wants something big and shiny on his desk, but he maybe doesn't make that many calls, so he's not fussed about how your call transfer works. You'll then have people in the sales or customer service department who are on the phone a lot, so they're going to need something practical. You'll have your receptionists who will need multiple BLF keys. Conferencing phones can go in your meeting room, and then DEX handsets for anyone who's up and about, or if you've got an on-site warehouse like we do at ProView, then you might fit all of them with cordless handsets. You can as well, if you've got a small office, so you need, maybe like 6 devices or something like that, then you could, if you wanted, put everything on a DEX system. So you could have cordless handset speaking to DEX, the conference phone speaking to DEX, and even some of the desk phones speaking to DEX via their dongle, which just makes it one really easy, simple solution. Yealink is approved on most industry platforms, but where it isn't, Yealink are always happy to help with that. So if you've got a new platform that you've built yourself, or you're working with a platform that may be in the unlikely event that hasn't gone through that testing with Yealink, they will get involved with that, and so will ProView. If you give us a test account, we will happily do the interrupt testing for you. We'll help you with the provisioning side as well, and do whatever it is that you need to do to help get you up and running with Yealink. So the T5 series handsets, the high-end one. So here is the full range, with the latest models being the T58 variants. And all of the T58 series support a camera, and they either come with one or they don't. And the camera can also be added at a later date if you've changed your mind. You've then also got the Pro version that comes with a cordless receiver, which means you can walk around with it in close vicinity to answer calls from the receiver whilst you're away from your desk. And then the rest of the range is suited for most offices, so it should have something for everyone, covering lower spec in terms of screen size, non-color and less BLF keys, going up in size, and then moving on to color screen and increasing with the number of supporting BLF keys it can have. I just had a question to ask when the webinar slide will be available afterwards. Shortly after the webinar today, we will be sending a recording. If you specifically want the slides as well, then just pop your name in the box and we'll get those added as an attachment. So this is a close-up of the Pro version of the T58W with its cordless receiver. As I said before, you can buy it with or without the camera and get the camera later. And then with the receiver being Bluetooth, there is no need for a cord, and it can just be taken around with you, allowing you to answer calls when you're not around. All of these, except for the first one in the range, which is the T53, do come with built-in Bluetooth and Wi-Fi. So you'll notice there is a T53 and a T53W. The W version and anything else in the range with a W in it is what is telling you that it's got the built-in Wi-Fi. So the T53 does have the Bluetooth, it's just the Wi-Fi element that's not built in. But all the others are built in as standard, with the Bluetooth allowing you to connect to a Bluetooth headset, and the Wi-Fi being useful for cases where cabling is an issue. For example, if you're working at home, maybe you're not able to plug directly into your router. With these, you can connect over Wi-Fi without having to worry about third-party dongles. All the phones in the range have an adjustable display, and this can be particularly useful if you're in an office or room where the sunlight catches, so you can just adjust your phone to suit. The phones have all been updated with a high-performance processor. They've got built-in compatibility to be able to use these handsets with a DEX dongle. So that means you can essentially turn these desk phones into a base station and connect up to 4 cordless handsets to it. So making it a great solution for somewhere small. I'm imagining a restaurant where you'll probably want a desk phone in the back office, but ultimately in the kitchen and front of house, you're going to need something that they can pick up and put in their pocket whilst they're walking around. Or similarly in the garage, you'll have one desk at reception, and then your guys, your mechanics, will be walking around with a phone in their pocket. And then the option of the range of handsets give you something to choose from. So yeah, it's a good solution for that. All of the phones in the range support an expansion module as well, which you often don't find in lower end ranges. And what's great and really quite clever about the way Yealink have designed theirs is that you can use the same expansion module for any of the phones in the T5 range, regardless of if it's black and white or color. So the expansion module itself will detect what phone it's plugged into and will present itself as color or black and white to suit. So that means if you do have one set up and you decide to upgrade or downgrade your phone at a later date, then you don't need to replace the expansion module as well. It also makes it a much easier sell, you know, from you talking to your customers. It's no longer complicated. You don't have the worry of getting the right one and then having to deal with the hassle that comes with it when you do get the wrong one. So it just made it nice and easy. I just had a question coming through if you can join Microsoft Teams meetings using the camera on the T5 series. So on the standard IP range of phones, I don't believe you can. You might be able to on the VP59. They do have a dedicated Teams range of handsets, which I'll show you later, but I might double check on that as well separately after this. So the next two slides is just a feature comparison. I'm not going to go through it in detail, but I have included them in the slides because they can be quite useful as a training tool or to have when talking to customers. So anyone that's taken a copy of the slides, then you'll get these included. Moving on to the T4 series of phones, these are probably the most popular range of phones, with the T5 not far behind, and these will be recognised as a phone that they started making quite some time ago, but it is regularly updated. It was recently moved from G series to an S series, and we're now into the U series, where they've been putting in faster processors, adding in USB ports and various other features that didn't exist previously. This is the range as an overview. It's quite simple, really. We've got 4 models that go up in price based on screen size and number of BLF keys. And even the lowest handset in the range has a good number of BLF keys. So we've got 6 on the screen itself and 15 with a page view, and then going up as we go through the range. All the phones in this range have page view, so you've got additional BLF keys without the need for an expansion module, and that's the same with the T5 series. As mentioned before, the series has got now 2 USB ports, meaning you can use one for your expansion module, the other perhaps for a wired USB headset, wireless DECT headset, USB drive if you don't have call recording and you need to record your calls, or if you're wanting to put in Bluetooth and Wi-Fi, then you can do that via their dongle. And the expansion module for the T4 series works exactly the same as the T5 series, where it will present itself as color or black and white, depending on what phone it is plugged into. Both series modules have 20 keys on the module itself, and then you've got page view with dedicated buttons, meaning you get 60 on one in total. And then you can daisy chain 3 onto one phone, giving you additional 180 keys if needed, and that's on top of the BLF keys that you've already got on the phone. Another comparison for you here, again, I won't go through this line by line, but this is something that you can make use of later. And then the last desk phone series is the T3 series, so this is their entry level range. What we've got here is a very basic range. There's 3 phones really, just 2 of them look the same. It's made with different materials. So we've got a plastic bezel in the same material as the rest of the phone, instead of the acrylic bezels like the higher ranges have. And then phone options, we've got a really simple 2 BLF key model with a black and white screen. This one comes with the option of having gigabit PoE ports or your standard 10100. The only reason for this really is that you've got someone that is super budget conscious, or for whatever reason they don't need anything with frills, they just want a basic IP phone, then you can shave off a little bit more on the price by going for the non-gigabit version. The T33G is a colour screen version, so the screen itself is slightly bigger. We've then got 4 BLF keys on the phone with a page view, giving you 12 in total. And these phones, these are the ones here that I mentioned before, where we see a lot going into schools, for example, like teachers' classrooms. I've just had a question on the new phones. I will touch on that on the end, so I will come back to that, if that's okay. Right, another comparison for you there, and moving on to the conference phones. So we're just looking at audio today. So we've got two main versions, the CP925 and CP965. They both look the same, so they've both got a colour touchscreen, but it's the CP965 is physically bigger with a bigger screen, and they both have an all-black acoustic fabric around it. The CP965 being bigger is therefore designed for bigger rooms, and it can support that in the way of having, so it's got extra microphones in the feet and a bigger speaker, and then it can also now support additional microphones for extra large rooms. You've also got the option of getting one that speaks to a base station, and that is the CP935W. So it's the same size as the CP925, but it's built to work with the W70B or the multi-cell base stations. And then you can buy this with or without the base station if you've already got one. Here's a diagram of the CP965 and the additional microphones, so you can see that what's actually going on underneath it. So there's 13 microphones altogether. You've got 4 in each foot and then 1 in the middle. And this is designed to give it a 360-degree style voice pickup. Similarly, the CP925 and CP935 work the same, except they've got 7. So instead of 4 in each foot, it's 2, and then with 1 in the middle. So it's still giving you that 360-degree pickup. It's just that with less mics, therefore it needs to be for a smaller room. They've both got smart noise filtering technology, so it should pick up all sounds and then filter out the background noise so that that element doesn't end up going through to the listener on the other side. Here is a close-up of the microphones that go with the CP965. These come as a pack of 2, so as a little pair. And that docking station that you can see there is a charging port, which is where you typically keep them when they're not in use. And then the mics themselves, when you take those little squares out, they are wireless decks, so you can move them around the room to suit you as you like. That will then essentially give you an additional 3 meters from the conferencing unit. And then the mics themselves have a 13-hour talk time battery with 11 days on standby. So it's not the end of the world. If you do forget to charge them overnight from time to time, you know, you can just leave them out and you should be able to come in and just carry on doing your calls the next day. Another comparison chart there for you, and next we have the decked phone series starting with the handsets, and these are all the solutions that you can use for any on-site needed as well as home working. So we've got 3 main cordless office phone handsets and then some ruggedized options, but we'll start with these for now. At a glance, we've got what I would class as a good, better, best option. I don't really like to say entry level in this case because in reality, even their lowest cost one isn't really entry level. It is more of a mid-range handset. And starting with the W78, which is the highest end model. So they've done a really good job at making it modern and sleek without it being too large. Now, generally with the cordless handsets, I find it's best if it fits in the palm of your hand. Sometimes they can be too big, sometimes they can be too small. Not everyone is fussed about that, but I generally like it to just fit right. Whilst they do have a larger handset, this one is pretty much in the middle in the sense of size. So we've got a 2.4-inch colour screen. It's compact and part of the user interface is touchscreen. So you've got the touchscreen as well as the buttons. And it is It's got a scratch resistant surface, so it's not fully ruggedized, but it is built in a material making it harder to scratch, and it is resistant to disinfectant as well, so you can easily wipe it down. We've then on this one got a Bluetooth connection for a Bluetooth headset that you can connect wirelessly as well as wired. The W56H has been around for a little while now, so those of you who already use Yealink should be familiar with this one. It's standard in its features in that it's also got a 2.4-inch colour screen. We've got a long battery life of 30 hours talk time and 400 hours standby time. There's no Bluetooth on this one, but it does have a 3.5mm jack, so you can still connect a wired headset to it. Lastly, the W73H. This is what I would describe as a mid-range handset, but in terms of price, it is definitely the most cost-effective. So we've got a slightly smaller screen, not by much. It's a 1.8-inch, but we've still got the long battery life. And in fact, this one being built newer and came out after the W56, they've actually designed it with longer battery life. So we've got 35 hours talk time, instead of 30, and then the same 400 on standby. There is a 3.5mm port for wired headset connection, and it's got a spring-loaded belt clip as well. So this part is particularly useful. For those who may remember back in the day, it was standard for a cordless handset to come with a belt clip, but it was usually an attachment that slides on and off. It will often get lost. It's then never easy to replace with the manufacturer. This way, it's there, it's fixed. It's not going to fall off and probably actually more secure. Outside the office handsets, we've also got two ruggedized handsets. Both are suitable for non-office environments like garages, warehouses, kitchens. But to be fair, even if you wanted to stick them in an office, they don't have that ruggedized look. You know, they do still look smart. So you could use them anywhere really. The difference between the two is the IP rating. So we've got an IP67 rated and an IP54, which basically means one is fully waterproof and the other one is water resistant. So outside of the, so this is the 59R, the higher end one. So outside of the IP67 rating, it's got standard features. So we've got 28 hours talk time, so slightly less than the office handsets. As well as the IP67 rating, it's got some cushioning around the material as well to help it absorb impact when it's dropped. And there is an alarm feature to be able to send emergency calls. Typically, I find these kind of handsets are used in an environment when it's outside of an office, like a factory or warehouse, then quite often the user is going to be on their own and potentially in an accident-prone environment. So if they did have an accident, then they would be able to easily call for help. The W57R is a lower IP rating, so it's water resistant rather than waterproof. The talk time in this is actually higher than the 59R, so we've got 40 hours talk time, but it is the IP rating that makes it the lower cost option, where ruggedized is needed, but not necessarily at the highest level. And then a comparison on those handsets for you there with their features. The single cell base station to go with these is standard in terms of range and distance, in terms of what you find in the market. So it's a very typical 30 meters indoors, 300 meters outdoors, but that is all dependent on the building itself and what's in it. So as I'm sure you all know, it may vary. You can extend the range with repeaters. You can have up to 6 repeaters on each base station, but I would say if it's getting to that point where you need that many repeaters, then you might be better off with a multi-cell solution, which we will be taking a look at shortly, but we can also always have that conversation with you to help work out what you need. The base itself is designed to be able to register 10 handsets with 20 simultaneous calls, which means that each user could be on a call with someone else all at the same time. And this element of it is higher spec than others out there in the market. Most commonly, you'll find with a single cell, it will support maybe 6 or 8 handsets. And we can configure the base stations, just like we do with the desk phones, and we can configure multiple handsets to each base station. And then the last step in the setup is the pairing of the handsets to the base, which again is a service that we offer. So we can actually take the handsets and the base outside of the box. before shipping, get them paired, pop them back in the box and send them out to your customer to give them that true plug and play experience. All those handsets that we've just gone through can be bought as a bundle with the base station that we've just mentioned, which is what we've got here, and you will find all of these on our process portal. The Yealink multi-cell system is designed for larger sites across multiple floors where you need high range and for the handsets to be able to roam between bases without calls dropping off. So there's the W80B, which is a standard multi-cell base station, and then we've got the W90B, which is built with external antennas for stronger signal in sites where that may be an issue. This one here compares the base station, so you've got the single cell and the multi-cell in terms of how many handsets it supports, what it can extend to. So this is what's going to help you work out what's the right solution for you. Finally, one more feature, which I did touch on earlier in the slides, is the decked dongle, which can be put into some of their desk phones to either turn the desk phone into a base station, or you can use it to then connect this desk phone to the single cell and multi-cell base stations that we've just gone through. So you could potentially have everything, your desk phones, cordless handsets, conference units, all connected, even headsets, which I'll show you later, all connected to these base stations. The last piece of the puzzle within Yealink is, or almost last one, is their headset range. Now, I'm not going to go through all of them in detail today. We will probably do a headset focused one in the future, so do keep an eye on our webinars. But this is the full range as a whole. So we've got a standard RJ9 wired headset, which just plugs straight into all of the Yealink phones, as well as most other IP desk phones that support this particular type of RJ9. We've then got wired USB headsets from entry level, mid-range and high-end. We've got wireless decked headsets, which have been really popular, and you've got the option to have it with or without a screen. And then there is now a full range of Bluetooth headsets. All of these comes as Teams or UC variants, and all of the variants do work with Teams, but the Teams variant has a dedicated Teams button on it, and the UC variants are designed for you to be able to integrate them to work with your own platforms and soft phones. So ProView, with the nature of our business and given the fact that we do work with most of the ITSPs in the industry, we actually tend to sell way more of the UC variants than we do the Teams variants as compared to any other distributor in the UK. We've got some detail here on how you can connect the decked headsets to third-party phones. So the decked range already as it is, which some of you may already be familiar with, and they were just pictured in that previous slide. Now they are designed to integrate straight into a Yealink handset without the need for an EHS adapter or handset lifter or anything else. But Yealink have built EHS adapters so that you can integrate these with third-party phones. So there's two adapters depending on what phone you need to use it with, and then you'll be able to see on the sticker which one it supports. So they brought in the EH60 wireless headset adapter some time ago when they first launched the headsets, but they've now introduced the EH61, which supports a different line of handsets. So essentially all of them are now being designed to support both, but depending on when you got your headset, it might only support the first one. So you'll be able to see that when you've bought it on the package sticker. So we've got the EHS60, which supports Cisco, Avaya, Polycom, Grandstream, and Fanvil handsets. And then the EHS61 is designed for Mitel, Unify, and the old legacy Yealink handsets, such as the T4G series, the T4S series, and the higher end of the T2 series. One of the newer highlights within their decked range is a headset that can speak to your base station. So you can use these like you might do a cordless handset, giving your users an easy hands-free solution. So this will be good in places where you're not just on the go, but you are busy getting hands-on, but you still need to be able to answer calls, hear messages, or potentially even send messages through. So as I mentioned, it is a hands-free solution, so you can answer calls at the press of a button whilst you're going on about your work. And for outgoing calls, whilst you won't be able to obviously physically dial a number from the headset, you can have it paired with a cordless handset that you keep in your pocket or keep on your desk, so that when you do need to dial out an external call, you can do that from the handset. And there may be some staff that don't ever need to dial out, they just need to be able to answer calls, or maybe just speak internally, in which case it does have a push to talk feature, so you can just push and do internal communication. So all of these features make it a really good solution for supermarkets, restaurants, shopping centres, anywhere big or small that needs you to be able to walk and talk at the same time. The latest addition to the Bluetooth range is the BH71 series. This is an in-ear headset that you can buy on its own with a little carry case, with or without a Bluetooth dongle, or you can get it as a workstation, and then again with or without the carry case and dongle. And the dongle is what you'd need to be able to connect via Bluetooth to your laptop. Here is a close-up of the workstation. We've got the earpiece that sits in a little charging hole that's there on the right. There's a built-in speaker and mic as well, so if you wanted, you could answer a call and have the conversation via loudspeaker. There's a touch screen control panel where you can manage your settings, adjust the volume, pair it with new devices, etc. And then the mobile phone stand on the left is also a wireless charger, so you can keep your phone charging at all times. It comes with two USB connections to plug it directly into a phone or a computer. And then it's also got 3 additional USB ports for you to use for whatever you like. Now, you may not need these. They could be used for anything, but the idea of it and the idea of them being there is that it is supposed to be a workstation hub to give you everything you need, and therefore hopefully only one thing on your desk. Really good for home workers, this one. Probably wouldn't recommend it in an office, because if you've got too many Bluetooth connections in one place, then it can cause interference. But if it's just going on one person's desk, then, you know, that's, or a few people, then that's not an issue. But really good and perfect as a home device, because you'll use it with your soft phone for work calls. It's connected to your mobile phone for personal calls. Plus, with the carry case option, if you are someone that's in and out and you tend to travel, then it's a perfect combo, because you can literally just grab your headset, walk out the door, be on your way, and you're still connected and can make and receive calls. We've got really good noise cancelling on this, with multiple mics in the plastic to pick up the background noise and then filter it, so that the user on the other side gets a really clear sound, even if you're out and about, walking down the streets or travelling. The earpiece itself is designed with ultimate comfort in mind, so it's really lightweight. It doesn't feel heavy on your ear. I know sometimes I've worn some of these years ago in the past, and they just start to hurt after a while. This one, I've actually got this one set up at home, and I mean it when I do say it's super comfortable. And it's flexible as well, so you can, it's flexible in the sense of physically, so it will be able to adjust, you know, depending on when you've got a small ear or big ears. I, for example, have got really teeny tiny ears, so for me it works really well. Quite often, the way that they're designed and they're fixed, it's just too big for me, and I've just never been able to use that type of headpiece. But this one works really well. The battery life on this is really good. So the earpiece has got 10 hours, but then you can charge it for an additional 20 hours with the carry case. So if you are traveling, then you don't need to worry about having to stop and plug it in during the day. Lastly, in the headset range, I just wanted to show you the newest UH37, which is the UH36 replacement. So this is their mid-range wired USB headset option. These are very popular, mainly just because it is a good quality headset at a really good price point. So we've got good quality speakers and with noise cancelling in the microphone. The ear cups are well made with memory foam in the cushion. and it's a sturdy headband, but it's still fairly lightweight, so you can wear it all day without getting uncomfortable. Outside of the SIP range, which is what we've just looked at, they also have a team range of devices, which we'll just show you very briefly. And so there's a range of Teams integrated desk phones, which have the Teams interface, pardon me, on the screen. So you'll log into your Teams account, and then you'll see all your contacts or your meetings and be able to make and receive calls. There is a Teams integrated conference phone as well. So we've got conference phone for meeting rooms as well as smaller ones for personal use or huddle room. Plus we've got Teams variants of all of the wired, wireless DECT and Bluetooth headsets. We've then got an extensive range of video conferencing solutions for everything from huddle rooms all the way to big rooms, extra big rooms. So you can use these various packages that come with everything you need for the different sizes, or you could even put together something bespoke for really big rooms. Let's say if you're setting up an auditorium at a university or something like that. Yealink have actually put together an experience centre in London where they've got all of this kit set up. So if that's something you ever wanted to see live, then you can arrange to go there. I can help you arrange for somebody to either from Yealink to be there with you, or if I'm about, I will happily come in and join you. But Yealink are also really good at doing remote demos, you know, so if you want to see how the solution works, or if you've got a customer that wants to, then Yealink will join a call with you and your customer and just demo it remotely. So to summarize, hopefully what I've shown you today is that the Yealink portfolio covers all bases and should have something for every solution, regardless of what it is. And as always, ProView are here to help. As I said before, we've got the technical knowledge. We are resourceful. You know, nothing is too complicated for us. We will go to the ends of the earth to try and find something for you if we don't know the answers off the top of our head. And there is also project price support available from ProView and Yealink. So any requirements that you've got that's over 50 devices or more, do come to us. We'll register it with Yealink and get price support that is applied only to you. And the way we do this is we give them the end user name. This is what helps them differentiate the project, which means, you know, if your customer's shopping around, then and you've registered this project first, then you will be the only one that will get that extra discount from Yealink. One last bit before we go into our Q&A. I hope you don't mind that I've popped this in, but we are up for the Technology Reseller Awards for Hardware Distributor of the Year. And the award itself is based on the number of votes a company receives. So if I could very nicely and very humbly ask for you to vote for us, if you're happy with us and you like what we do, it should only take about 30 seconds via the link to do that. And we've got a link there on the slide, or you'll be able to hopefully easily find it in Google, or drop me a message, we'll send you the link and after the webinar. So really appreciate that if you wouldn't mind. And lastly, thank you for sticking through. We've had a couple more questions come through right at the end, so I will go through those now, but I also will hang around for a few more minutes for any questions that come through as we're talking. So I've just had a question come through asking about the BH71, because currently on the website we're only showing the BH72. So the BH71 is brand new, as in we've had our testing units, but the actual stock itself is still on its way in from China, but they should be here by the end of this month. So we will be doing a launch. They will be added to the website, and we will be sending an email out to everybody with an NFR offer. So if you're not on our mailing list and you don't receive our emails, but you want to be kept up to date with new products like that and the ability to purchase it at an NFR price, then just contact our sales team. We'll add you to the list, or you can pop a message in this chat and I will happily do it myself afterwards. There's another question that came in earlier, which was about the very, very new Yealink handsets. So I've not gone through them in this webinar deliberately because there is a few and they've not quite hit yet. So the query was, I think some of you may have been already testing them, even though they're quite a while off, but I can tell you that stock is imminent to arrive. So again, we will be sending an email out on those. I think we've had already a few of the T35Ws. We're just getting them ready to go live on our system. And then the other models are going to be coming in sort of within the next month or so. I just had a question on what email address is best to send questions to after the presentation. So the best email is that one there that we've got on the slide. So if you email contact@proview.co.uk, within that you are going to reach our technical sales guys, our customer service advisor, and myself. So it reaches everybody. It's the best chance of getting an answer to you quickly. And also, you know, if the first person that reads it, it's not kind of in their remit and they don't quite understand, then they will pass it on to a techie. So you will get your answers properly and in a timely manner. I'm also being asked about the pairing service that I mentioned earlier. So I mentioned with the decked handsets and base stations that whilst configuring it, we can also pair them. So that we do have a separate SKU for that. So by default, any of you that are doing provisioning, typically, you know, will set your account to add the configuration by default. But the setup service is something that if you're using the portal, you'll need to add manually. Or if you're integrated via our API, then you can just set it to automatically add it to any cordless handset order, which I know a few of our customers have already done. So that's something that we do. And if you want pricing on that or more information or want to talk to somebody, then just speak to our sales team via that email address there or the main number, and we can go through it with you in a bit more detail. So I think that might be it for questions, but I will just hang around for another minute. Whilst I'm doing that, I would encourage you all to sign up to our mailing list just so that we can keep you up to date with the new products that come out. But we also use it to notify you of price changes or if something's being discontinued. And we try to be clever with it. You know, if you don't buy Yealink or haven't bought Yealink for a year, then we're not going to tell you, you know, that the product's been discontinued. So, you know, you won't necessarily get every single email, but you'll get the most important ones that are relevant to you. And then if you do come up with any questions after this, like I said, we've got our contact details there. We'll always get our engineers involved if needed. You know, we don't hide our engineers from our customers. If we want them to join a sales call, they will happily do that. And you know, they like talking to people. They'll get involved. So don't be shy. And I will also remind you that the new headset B871 is going on NFR, the new desk phones are going on NFR, and there is also a new dual Bluetooth headset that they're bringing out, which I don't think is available for a little while, but they've designed it with big ear cups that go over over and around your ears. So hopefully we'll be looking to do a headset focused one. So thanks everyone for joining, and thank you so much for your questions. We had a good amount of questions throughout the webinar and afterwards, which that's really good. You know, that makes me happy. It means you're interested. Any questions, like I said, please do come and ask us anytime afterwards. Keep an eye out for our next webinars, and I hope to see you again soon.